Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the DigiRail launch event. We're very excited to have you all here today, and I hope you're as excited to be here as well. It's very hot outside, so I hope you've all got a glass of water nearby. We've got a jam-packed agenda for the afternoon, and we're very excited to share this with you. My name is Sheridan. I'm going to be the moderator for the session this afternoon. If you have any questions, please do direct them my way, and I'll be able to help. Some general housekeeping notes before we do begin. We would like this to be a really interactive session, so we please do encourage you to keep your cameras on if you feel comfortable doing so. Please, however, do keep yourself on mute unless, of course, you are invited to speak during each session. That will just keep our speakers nice and focused, so thank you very much for that. We are going to go into a Q&A session later on this afternoon. So as we progress through the presentations, please do pop your questions in the chat function. I will collate all of those as we go along, and we will present those to Clive and the team very later on towards the end of the session. So please keep them coming throughout. Don't feel like you have to wait till the end. Please keep them coming and we will address those. If for any reason we do run out of time, like I say, we have got a record of all the questions that will be asked, and we'll be able to direct any answers to you directly from email after the session. Lastly, but not least, this is being recorded. Now, as you'll probably know, you will have had a notification come up on your screen. We will be sending the recording across throughout the afternoon once the session is finished, and any correlating slides we have as well. But that's enough from me. So to kick us off, I would like to welcome you all to Professor Clive Roberts, Head of School of Engineering at Birmingham University. Clive, over to you.
Thanks, Sheridan, and good afternoon, everyone. It's really good to see so many of you on the call, and welcome to the launch of the DigiRail Sheffield City Region project. So we have a fairly packed agenda this afternoon. There's a number of us going to speak, both from the University of Birmingham team and our delivery partners locally in the Sheffield City Region Unipart, as well as Dave Smith, from the local LEP. So a number of people are going to talk through their organisations and what the DigiRail project is about. And to start that off, perhaps I ought to say why the University of Birmingham is running a project in the Sheffield City region. And the reason for that is that we lead a large railway research activity here at the University of Birmingham, and a programme called DigiRail that's been running in a number of places across the UK. And the latest version of that is coming to Sheffield City Region now. So Sheridan, if I can show my slides, what I'd like to do is start off by giving you a little bit of background to what we do at Birmingham, really just to give you some context, some ideas of the kinds of things we do. You can see a picture of our university there, actually on not such a sunny day as today. You can see my contact details there on the screen. Please do feel free, obviously, to ask questions at the end, but address questions and things later as well. So if we can move on, Sheridan. So University of Birmingham, I guess this slide just says that we're a good university. We're the top 100 university in the world, have a large amount of activity. And in particular, and I think the important part around this is that we're a very engineering focused university. We're a strong engineering school. As Sheridan said, I'm head of that School of Engineering. And we are lead of a number of railway activities across the UK. If we look on to the next slide. So our railway activity is 50 years old this year. There's, I think now actually 180 of us working in railway research here at Birmingham. And we also have over 500 students studying railway programmes with us, mainly people from the rail industry, including in your local area. In 2017, we awarded the Queen's Anniversary Prize, so a prize from the Queen for the work that we do for the railway sector. And actually last year, we won the Guardian University Award for our collaborations with Porterbrook, so rail collaboration, and also the Praxis Euler Knowledge Exchange Award for our collaborations with Siemens. So we're embedded heavily in the rail industry and sort of working very well in that space, in that collaborative nature, and in a way like we're working today with Unipart. I also lead what's called UCRIN, the UK Rail Research and Innovation Network, which is a 92 million public-private initiative to take forward collaborative railway research, innovation, rollout of technology across the UK. And again, Unipart is one of the key founding partners of that collaboration. And we at Birmingham lead the Centre of Excellence in Digital Systems. If we look at the next slide, we have and access to a large number of industrial collaborators, and that's really important for this particular programme. So by working in partnership with Unipart and then working in partnership with our broader set of collaborators, we're able to encourage and get SMEs developing products that are fit for industry, that are match fit for industry, and in that collaboration with partners that want to buy them at the end. And that's not just in the UK, there's an international base in which we do that. So, for example, I sit on the board of Singapore Metro. We have a framework agreement with Indian Railways. We have a framework with the Road and Transport Authority and with Dubai, as well as many others as well. If we look at the next slide, it's probably worth saying how we function within the university. So we have 4 main activities that we're doing. So one is what's called the Birmingham Centre for Railway Research and Education, BCRRE. If you're in the rail industry, you may have heard that. So that's our railway group, our railway activity at Birmingham. I've already mentioned UCRIN. So this is the national partnership that we lead between academia and industry, particularly focused on getting academia to work with mainly larger industry partners, the big OEMs, the Siemens and the Uniparts of this world. We also lead an organisation called Rail Alliance, and it's Rail Alliance and under that umbrella that DigiRail functions. So Rail Alliance is a network particularly set up for SMEs working in the rail industry. We have 820 members of the Rail Alliance network, and just over 90% of those organisations are SMEs, so they come from across the UK. But the key there is both to help those SMEs with innovation activities and to also encourage those SMEs to work together and with the larger industry partners. And then in April this year, so April 2021, we also took over the National College for Advanced Transportation and Infrastructure, what was the National College for High-Speed Rail. And many of you know that there's 2 local bases for that, one in Birmingham and the other one in Doncaster. So the college is now part of the University of Birmingham family. We have a new principal who started at the beginning of May working there. And so we actually have presence in the region, both through this project, but also now through INCATI, through the National College as well. So we're very much present and active in your particular area. Now, if we move on to the next slide, it'll explain a little bit more about what we're doing to support SMEs. So if we move on, as I mentioned, the Rail Alliance is a large community of SMEs working in rail with a view to taking forward innovation in collaboration with us and our partners. And I'm really trying to fill those gaps where SMEs may have fit into 3 categories, I guess. One is that they're already active in the rail industry, but perhaps not only with one partner or with one product, a small area. And Rail Alliance is trying to grow that and support that growth. The second is where people have products that they're not bringing into the rail industry, but they feel might work in the rail industry and supporting that activity as well. And the third is where people just have ideas of what they might be able to do in the rail industry and us offering support around that. So any organisation can become a member of the Rail Alliance for free. The details are on the screen. There's a fairly easy web address to follow. If we move on to the next slide, then you start to see how all of this comes together. So in particular regional areas, we have DigiRail funding through the LEPs, and that's what we're now launching today in the Sheffield City region, is to really augment and accelerate those relationships under those SME networks. So we can really take forward initiatives to help accelerate new products to market, bring digital technologies to market in the rail industry from people perhaps that haven't been used to working in the rail industry before, and really linking those purchasers, those big companies, with the SMEs. We're doing this, and the focus today is on that local LEP region, but Rail Alliance is also part of the European Rail Clusters Initiative. So there's 16 other rail clusters of this kind operating across Europe, and we work in those networks as well. So there is actually a broader audience across Europe that has potential interest in the things that we are doing here. So if we are able to develop a product that serves in the Sheffield City region, there's a national potential for this, there's a European, and then for our broader contacts, an international story to put together there. So I think if we, I think that's the end, I can't quite remember. Let's have a look at the next slide. Yeah, I think that probably gives you an idea of the scale of what we're doing at Birmingham, what we're trying to do both as a university and that core research that's really driving forward fundamental ideas, new ideas around digitalisation and general strategy. We input strongly into government network rail type strategy around particularly digitisation. But then how we're using the various mechanisms both to work with big industry, but also, and importantly today, how we use that to work with SMEs, and particularly in those LEP areas where we're able to get this extra DigiRail support in a deep relationship with SMEs to accelerate their particular technology developments. My contact details are on the screen again here. As I say, please feel free to contact me. I'm going to pass over to Dave Smith now.
Thank you very much, Clive. Now I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Dave Smith, Chief Executive of the Sheffield City Region.
Thank you very much, Sheridan. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Karen and the Unipart team and Clive and the University of Birmingham team for the opportunity to speak. As the Chief Exec of the Mayoral Combined Authority and the Local Enterprise Partnership in South Yorkshire, I'm absolutely delighted to join this event. At the regional level, we're incredibly supportive of the project and proud to have backed it, and look forward to it becoming a key part of our business support offer. As many of you will know, that the Local Enterprise Partnership is a private sector-led body that works with the Mayor and the Council leaders in South Yorkshire to set the economic strategy for the region, as well as making sure that we target investment in infrastructure, public transport, business support and skills in the most effective way to unlock growth in our economy. It's fair to say that we've got a big job to do in the region. Our economy is worth today about £35 billion a year. But if we were performing at the England average, our region should be worth 46 billion. That 11 billion of untapped potential and all that goes with it is incredibly important for us to address and close that gap for the benefit of local people and local businesses. Our mission clearly is to turn this around. It was a challenge before COVID, but it remains one now in the post-pandemic world. Our latest quarterly economic survey data shows that confidence amongst businesses is high relative to the rest of the country, but that doesn't mean we're not without our concerns and issues. We remain concerned about the future of inflation. We're concerned about the government debt, and a particular note to manufacturers is the challenges around supply of materials in the current context. If we set those immediate challenges alongside the structural challenges in our economy, it makes for a challenging role for us to play and for business to have the opportunity to grow in South Yorkshire. In many respects, COVID hasn't changed our core mission at all. If we can't grow the private sector, we can't increase prosperity and we can't increase opportunity within our economy. We set out in our region's new strategic economic plan our ambition to build an innovation ecosystem that focuses on helping industry to tackle the real-term problems that we face and to take most opportunity to deploy its assets in the interests of growth and opportunity locally. So when an opportunity like this drops in our lap, we will of course take every chance we can to take those opportunities. And I was so pleased that Unipart and the university of Birmingham have produced this opportunity for South Yorkshire. What is clear to us working in the region is that we can only really transform our economy if the public, private and higher education sectors come together in meaningful ways. The LEP does that at a strategic level. This project is the absolute embodiment of how we can do this at a practical level. As we develop our future investment plans, we know that we'll need to tackle a number of challenges that our SMEs face. Workforce training and the supply of talent continues to underdeliver. SME finance isn't working as well as it should do. And in the wider economy, there's not enough interaction between research, innovation assets and businesses to most effectively grow the economy. The local enterprise partnership and the mayoral combined authorities' job is to help put in place the right plans, target the right investment and build new relationships with those businesses and organisations that can help us respond to those challenges. In Unipark Rail here in Doncaster and the University of Birmingham, we have two such partners. As the economy opens up and confidence returns, this project comes at a good time for us. And I look forward to it going live later this year. I hope it will just be the start of something bigger and better, and that we can take its learnings and apply them to other parts of our economy. I wish the project every success, and I hope that we can, as I've said, that we can grow other opportunities, particularly around our SME communities. And so thank you once again for the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave. I'd now like to introduce you to Karen Beardsley. Karen is the Unipark Rail Business Transformation Director. So welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Sheridan. And thank you, Dave, for attending today and those very kind words. As Sheridan says, I am currently Business Transformation Director for Unipark Rail. But in addition, I'm extremely proud to be a non-exec on the LEP board for the Sheffield City Region and with the Doncaster Chamber. And I know many of my colleagues are here today, which I really am grateful for, so thank you. I'm extremely pleased to be here to talk about Unipark Rail and the DigiRail project and what we are doing as a business to meet the challenges of the rail sector as it moves towards the digital railway. I'm really excited about the opportunities this transition provides to Unipark Rail as a business, but I also believe it provides our region with a real opportunity to be a key player in developing innovative solutions and building a strong innovation and digital sector to drive the digitisation of the railways at a much faster speed, not just in the UK, but internationally. I also believe Unipark Rail are in a unique position to work with local businesses to help bring their ideas, products and solutions to the rail sector. Next slide, please. So who are Unipark Rail? I think many people will know of us as a manufacturer and distributor of products for infrastructure and rolling stock. But we're much more than that. We have provided support to train builders, maintenance and major projects for rail for over 25 years. We've provided maintenance activity support in the aftermarket, which can be extremely challenging. It's usually based on periodicity, and that's either mileage or time-based. And it requires lots of checks between the major maintenance programs and therefore has unpredictable demand, which means peaks and troughs in work, not just for the maintenance organisation, but also for the supply chain. Failures in service, as we know, are costly, especially in rail, with huge penalties for blocking lines. And that tends to drive high inventories across the network. People need that comfort blanket around them to protect them for all eventualities. We believe that we can approach maintenance activity and support for the rail industry in a much more different way. And we believe digital technologies really provide us with that opportunity to look at how we can improve the support we give for all sectors within rail. We have already started to develop and implemented our own digital forecasting and inventory management system with machine learning that is much more capable at providing higher levels of availability at a lower inventory. We are a business that's committed to providing innovative supply chain solutions, technology, and products globally. And to support that, we have made a number of acquisitions in the technology sector, instrumental in Leeds, for example. We turn over £200 million a year. We have 850 employees across global locations. We are part of a much bigger group, Unipart Group, who provides services to blue chip companies like Apple, Sky, and the auto sector, to name but a few. And we've developed over many years the supply chain and engineering expertise and are now developing the technology and innovation expertise to support these skill sets, which are crucial for the future. Next slide, please, Sheridan. As I said, we are a global business with our own businesses in the US and joint ventures in Australia and the Middle East. We are in addition targeting Europe and Asia. We've got our resources and presence in these key territories that will support our growth aspirations. And we know that our innovative products and solutions are transferable into these territories. So our reach, knowledge, and relationship in these territories will be key. Next slide. So today is very much about a call to arms. The railway digitisation has only just started. We've only scraped the surface. There's much more to do. And Unipart Rail wants to be a key player along with this region. We are looking for SMEs to work with, to develop and bring new products to market, to bring greater integration across the supply chain and understand the performance of assets. We already work collaboratively with over 800 suppliers in the UK. We are independent, not linked to one train manufacturer or OEM, and sit firmly between our customers and suppliers. We therefore believe we've much to offer SMEs, and we can be a good route to market in the UK and internationally by providing access to university research, development, testing, manufacturing, running trials, and gaining the approvals to get products sold into rail. Next slide. This slide really is not meant to be read. It just demonstrates the range of customers that we do have in the UK internationally. It shows that extent of our reach and markets that are available to all of our suppliers. Next slide. We've spent the last 12 to 18 months integrating digitally with our key stakeholders so that we can share and transfer data quickly to improve our supply chain operations. We're already working with customers to monitor the performance of some of their assets, including doors, traction motors, and radiators, to name but a few. We can monitor the assets, analyze data very quickly, and turn this into meaningful information to provide back to our customers so they can act and prevent failure. We are now looking to integrate the output from the sensor on the assets into the supply chain, which moves us firmly from a proposition around condition-based maintenance to a condition-based supply chain, an intelligent condition-based supply chain. Our vision is for a sensor to be able to detect an issue on an asset, a signal sent to the Unipart Rail maintainer to prepare to undertake maintenance, an automatic signal sent to my warehouse to dispatch the product to the maintainer in sync with their planned maintenance time. And in addition, a signal sent to the supplier to top up the warehouse stock. This is our vision for Unipart Rail, and we're looking for regional businesses to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. That was brilliant. We're now going to move on to our next session with Jake Rodham and his team. Jake Rodham is the Unipart Rail Marketing Director. So Jake, if you would like to come forward and take the stage, introduce yourself and your team, that would be brilliant.
Okay, thank you, Sheridan. So you're now going to hear from some of my team of product managers. Okay, and this team will be co-located in the brand new Technology and Innovation Hub from October this year. And they'll be working alongside researchers from the University of Birmingham, and they're available to collaborate and engage with potential suppliers in the Sheffield City region as part of the DigiRail project. Today, the product managers are going to talk through some of their areas of expertise and interest, but this is by no means a comprehensive list. So if you do feel that there are suppliers within the region that could be of interest, then we certainly want to hear from them via the dedicated Unipart Rail innovation email address, which is innovation@unipartrail.com. So we do look forward to expressions of interest from a very diverse business community. And also to say, if a potential supplier has never worked in the industry this is not a barrier to partake in the project. DigiRail offers entry-level mentoring and coaching via workshops to educate all SMEs on the opportunities and also the complexities of the rail industries. So we certainly want to hear from some of those companies as well. But to kick us off now, Andy Davis is going to talk you through a great example of collaboration and also a project where we've developed next generation technology using the latest in digital electrical battery engineering technology, which is very much aligned to the rail technical strategy, objectives of zero emissions, reduce noise and improve efficiency. So over to you, Andy.
Thanks, Jake. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Andy Davis, and I'm responsible for rail plant and equipment at Unipart Rail. So rail plant has not traditionally been a core product to Unipart, but an opportunity came up a few years ago for us to work with a company in Scotland called McCulloch Rail. They'd built up a very successful rail maintenance business in the UK using innovative track handling machines that they developed and manufactured themselves. But they were looking to take that to the next stage. They were looking for a partner to help them mass produce these machines and sell them to a global market. So 2 years ago, Unipart signed an exclusive manufacturing and distribution agreement with them. Since then, we've sold the machines into Malaysia, Canada, Australia, North America, and we're continuing to develop opportunities around the world. We're now manufacturing a range of machines and stock holding them in territory to service these major overseas markets. This product has now become an integral part of Unipart Rail's business and growth strategy. Something else that Unipart has done, which Jake has just referred to further support McCulloch and their future product offerings, is to product manage the development of a prototype zero emissions version of their diesel powered machines. So as my previous role at Unipart was as an innovation manager, I had experience managing £1 million plus collaborative projects with government funding to develop innovative products for the rail industry. When a competition was launched by Innovate UK on behalf of the DFT a year or so ago to fund development of a first of a kind prototype low emissions self-powered vehicle to address the theme of environmental sustainability, I thought this would be too good an opportunity to miss for the McCulloch equipment. I also knew that that it was McCulloch's ambition to build zero emissions plants, and this would be a game changer for the use of their equipment in confined spaces where no such machines existed at present. So whilst McCulloch were experts in the development and operation of traditional ICE powered machines, and Unipart are experts in building these, neither of us had the experience to develop and manufacture high voltage electric machines. There was, however, an opportunity to leverage the know-how of other companies within the Unipart group, and we turned to Hyperbat, who were a joint venture company set up between Unipart and Williams Advanced Engineering, spin-off from the Formula One team. They were set up to manufacture HV batteries for specialist automotive manufacture. WAE introduced us to other experts in the fields of electric motors, control systems, and the such like, that enabled us to put together a very compelling bid that allowed us to secure 400 grams worth of government funding to build a prototype. We then undertook a 12-month project that Unipart managed actually in the height of COVID, in the heart of the COVID pandemic, so that wasn't without its challenges, and still produced a very successful prototype that was demonstrated to potential customers in the rail industry only a couple of weeks ago, a photo of which you can see on the slide in front of you. This is an example really of where Unipart's used its resources and expertise to help develop a new global business, but also utilize funding opportunities and collaborative working to develop game-changing technology for our partner. So that's an example from me. I'll hand you over to my colleague, Chris Elliott, who will talk about other stuff that we've been doing as a business. Chris?
Thank you, Andy. Next slide, please. Hi, so my name's Chris Elliott, and same as Andy, I'm a product manager within Unipart Rail. My background is railway depots and rolling stock within the rail industry. And I've had to say 39 years of that, and even 2 years as the engineering director for your very own Sheffield Supertram. So as Karen has said before, and Andy, we deal with and understand the complex nature of the relationships in associated processes within the railway. Not many people know that the vehicles are owned by one person, they're maintained by another, they're operated by another. It's very, very complex. Unipart is in a unique position with the 25 years of experience to help SMEs and other companies work their way through the processes, safety, and everything else. And one of the things I'm currently working with is not as much as what Andy's doing, but I'm actually working with a company that have got an innovative train washing facility, something that hits the decarbonisation, environmental, digital, and considerable financial savings of today's railway challenges. So yeah, we can talk with vehicle owners, depot owners, maintainers, vehicle operators. And I look after, as I said, the rolling stock in the depot. So very short and sweet, but I'll now pass on to Colin, who will tell you a bit about his area.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Chris. As Chris says, my name's Colin Smith-McGlone, and I'm a product manager covering condition-based maintenance. Network Rail spend nearly 8.5 billion a year annually on maintenance across their infrastructure. So this area represents a real massive opportunity for SMEs and the local businesses to get involved. There's a wide range of assets that need to be looked after, from trains, stations, buildings, as well as the track infrastructure itself. The customer is seeking technologies that can reduce maintenance costs, improve asset reliability, prevent the need for track workers to go to site, automating inspection processes, reducing CO2 emissions, or even just making use of the sort of data they collect already. There's a broad range of technologies that can be applied in this area, from things like robotics, new sensors, new types of material, or any kind of process or product that's been applied in other industries but hasn't yet made its way into rail. I'll just end on an example where we've recently supported a couple of SMEs to help them gain funding from Network Rail via a design contest. And this has allowed those SMEs to trial their product on trains, and the topic is around sort of improving track maintenance and reducing track maintenance costs. Unipart were able to provide all the sort of things that SMEs typically struggle to do. We can navigate through the procurement and commercial negotiations with Network Rail, and we can provide the kind of key engineering, installation and approval support, helping those SMEs to leapfrog from a small business and being able to compete against global players. I'll end on that story, and I'll hand over to my colleague Nicola.
Thank you, Colin. Could I have the next slide, please? Good afternoon, and thank you for the chance to speak today. I'm Nicola Kisaglis, Product Manager, and I represent the Unipart Rail Power Asset Portfolio, which is actually manufactured in our purpose-built facility in Leicester, and it's called Samuel James Engineering. At Samuel James, we provide our rail partners with a fully integrated power asset solution, which includes concept and design, testing, regulatory approvals, manufacturing and on-site commissioning, either direct to the rail industry or through a tier 1 supplier like Volker Rail or Siemens or Alstom. On the left-hand side of the slide in blue is a real-life example of an energy-efficient point heating system that we're working on with a European innovator, which should be starting trials over the next few months. Now, I know it's not quite Sheffield City Region being in Europe, but it demonstrates hopefully how we engage with the SMEs and collaboration partners. What it does is provides a solution to Network Rail that directly responds to the rail technical strategy, and specifically their reliable and easy to maintain category, which looks for the item shown just down there on the left-hand side in green on the slide. And it does this by proposing to save Network Rail around 40% on their energy bills for points heating. It reduces maintenance and increases reliability by changing from a 3-year replacement cycle to a 10-year cycle. And it uses digital technologies which allow the heaters to only draw the power they need rather than being on all the time within a set temperature range, giving Network Rail increased control through self-diagnosis and greater overall efficiency as a result. So that's a good example of the kind of thing we're looking for, innovative products and solutions or collaborations in the product group shown there on the right of my slide, which support decarbonisation, reduce costs and energy consumptions, whilst applying digital technologies to control and monitor the assets. So hopefully that gives you an idea of my areas, and I'm pleased to hand over to my colleague, Joe Taylor. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Next slide, please. Hello, my name is Joseph Taylor, and I'm also one of the product managers at Unipart Rail. My two key areas of focus are level crossings and permanent way. For level crossings, Unipart Rail are already a key supplier of level crossing products into the rail industry, with around half of the products used for renewals purchased through us. And of these, half are manufactured at our Unipart Dorman facility. We are now looking further to collaborate with SMEs with an ambition of addressing Network Rail's challenge statement for level crossings, which is to improve their assets and reduce risk. In asset improvements, the focus is to improve efficiency, reduce carbon emissions, and reduce cost. This could be through product improvements or reducing waste in processes, this of which can be particularly implemented by condition-based maintenance, as Colin has previously mentioned. In improving safety, we aim to develop products which reduce danger in level crossings, and when this isn't possible, make these dangers more obvious to the public to prevent incidents from happening. For international opportunities, Unipart Rail have a global reach. Therefore, we have the capacity to support international growth for products which have had success in the UK rail market for level crossings. Permanent way, or P-way, is the term used to describe the physical track and the track bed of the railway. We're currently working with SMEs to deliver innovative drainage solutions, as well as tools for track bed stabilisation. And again, we're hoping to further collaborate with SMEs in the Sheffield City Region to support the development of innovative products in this area. So thank you. I'll hand over to Paul.
Thank you, Joseph. Next slide, please. So as been alluded to earlier, I'm Paul Morris, Senior Innovation and Research Manager at Unipart Rail, and it's really great to have been offered the opportunity today to introduce the DigiRail programme with our colleagues at University of Birmingham and the LEP. And thank you to our product management colleagues for offering their time to explain the expertise that Unipart Rail has in amongst our directors, Karen and Jake. And it was mentioned, you know, the Innovation and Technology Hub is opening later this year. So on the bottom left there, you can see this is in our Jupiter facility in Doncaster. It's going to be the home of the future digital railway. And we hope to welcome SMEs in a COVID-safe fashion towards the end of this year, where we can mentor, coach, inspire, host workshops and mentoring and sessions. And we can do all of this right here in our very own region. So I think the facility is currently being constructed and it will be open later this year. And it's really, really great for us to have the home of the future railway right here in Doncaster. So next slide, please. It was mentioned whilst the hub itself physically opens in Q3, Q4 this year, COVID pending, DigiRail program is actually open now. We've done a little soft launch with a few SMEs, a few of which are on the call today. So if you're with us, thank you very much for your support. And what we're trying to achieve now is the new cohort of companies who want to really hit the ground running. We've tested our processes and systems. University of Birmingham have been fantastic partners, and we're a collaborative team. We're always working together. So you can look forward to collaborations between their researchers, our product managers, our innovation team. We are open now. It's very easy to join the program. You just scan that QR code to bring up the one-pager expression of interest form. You can check out our information on our website. University of Birmingham also have a dedicated Sheffield City Region DigiRail page on their website, or you can contact the innovation@unipartrail.com. And all I would like to say is thank you for your support. Karen's going to wrap up from the Unipart team for us this afternoon. But just to say, you know, it's a fantastic opportunity. Thank you to the LEP for giving us this great opportunity to promote the Sheffield City region. And we're looking forward to your networks and your suppliers wanting to come to Unipart to further produce innovative products and services for rail. So thank you, Karen.
Thanks, Paul. Next slide, please. I'd like to thank Paul and all the product management team. Hopefully they've demonstrated to all of you today that we have the resources and the expertise within Unipart Rail to deliver the DigiRail project. And in fact, we've already started doing that. The purpose of UCRIN and DigiRail is about bringing technology experts, academia and Unipart Rail together so that we're able to bring new products and solutions into the rail sector. We want to put our region on the map for digital products, especially those that can be used within the rail sector. This will support our region's aspirations to support new business and startups with higher skilled and better paid jobs, but will also help provide manufacturing opportunities and potential support for the education sector, all of which are in line with our region's aspirations. We're asking you to spread the word. Please talk to your contacts and your networks. We are being supported by LEP and we want this to be a success for our region. Maybe one thing to note that the region is probably a little bit blurred. It does go over to the border into Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, which is why the map's actually shown in that direction. So if you've got any questions and you're concerned about maybe some contacts that fall slightly outside the region, then please get in touch and talk to us about it. We'd like you to refer anyone that you think would be interested or just wants more information from us. Please get them to get in touch. We're also happy to support other events. So if you're running events and you want people to come along and talk a little bit more about what we're doing with DigiRail, then please get in touch. Many of us will be happy to come and join that sort of event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Karen. As a reminder, we are going to be coming to the Q&A very shortly, so please do pop your questions in the chat and we will come to those very soon. But for now, I'd like to introduce you to Sidra Khan, Project Manager, DigiRail Sheffield City Region. Over to you, Sidra.
Thank you, Sheridan. Firstly, just want to start by expressing my gratitude to all the speakers today. Thank you so much for your time and effort in producing the material you have done. And thank you to everyone behind the scenes as well. There's always a lot of work that's required. So thank you. Yeah, go for it, Sheridan. Wonderful. So we've been hearing a bit about what's going on at University of Birmingham. We've been hearing a little bit about what expertise there is at Unipart Rail, but I'll talk through a little bit about the project and where we're at, how many businesses we're looking to engage with and so forth, just to get an idea of the size and the scope and scale of the project. Next slide, Sheridan, please. Thank you. So not too sure if anyone's realised there's been quite a few logos on some of our slides today. And one in particular that's quite prominent is the European Regional Development Fund. So they're our programme sponsors. And we applied under a particular priority axis, which is referred to as 1B. The whole drive of that axis is to promote investment in research and innovation within the region and to engage with SMEs and to smaller and shorten the gap between SMEs and research institutions. So it's fantastic that we've got University of Birmingham, we've got our experts in-house, and we've got a wonderful industrial partner based in Doncaster I'm referring to Unipart. So we're looking to promote and drive innovation within SMEs. One of the biggest challenges that a lot of research has shown and interactions and engagements is that innovation in SMEs is something that's often a bit of an afterthought. Larger organisations innovate and they innovate very well. SMEs tend to struggle in that field, hence why part of the reason this project has been set up. Next slide, please, Sheridan. Thank you. So the project itself was actually being funded between October 2020 due to complete in June 2023. Only recently we've recruited completed our recruitment of staff. So we have our launch event now, which is appropriately timed. As mentioned previously, it's been funded by ERDF and Unipart are our delivery partners on this project. The delivery itself is taking place within the Sheffield City region. And linking back to something that Clive mentioned earlier on, we're building on the success of our sister project, DigiRail West Midlands. They've been doing some fantastic work. And there's a gap seen in the Sheffield region, and here we are today launching this project. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. So in terms of what offer is available to SMEs, firstly, there's going to be the opportunity to work not only with the University of Birmingham, but with our collaboration partners as well, Unipart Rail. You've had a bit of a taster session in terms of what kind of knowledge and expertise lies there. And it's not often you'll find a university that's outside of the region delivering in a different region. So the opportunities there are vast. Businesses will have the opportunity to attend some rail workshops, up to 12 hours worth if they feel that there's benefit there. These are bespoke workshops that have been developed for businesses in the rail industry. So there's a lot that could be taken away from that. There's potentially an opportunity for technical, regulatory, laboratory and general business support for businesses, depending on what project the business proposes to us. And for some of our more research-focused projects, there'll be an opportunity to work with a research fellow, we have two particularly that have been recruited for this project. Specialist academics, again, we have a variety of academics in varying fields within the university. Research fellows also in other partner projects across the university. So if there's something we can't particularly deliver in our own project and we don't have the expertise in-house, we'll definitely reach out to our colleagues across various other projects. And of course, we'll be working with our Unipart delivery team as well. Next slide, please, Sheridan. Thank you very much. So businesses will also have the opportunity to have the opportunity to access some of our demonstration facilities, not only across the campus, but the wider reaching as well. So we've got a couple of pictures there, including a simulation centre. Next slide, please. Thank you. In terms of numbers then, this might be hidden on some of the people's screens with everyone's pictures on the right hand side, but that can be moved apart. So the two key outputs I'm going to be discussing really here are, one is a C1, which is just an output term for an ERDF project. So we're looking to engage with in total 71 businesses as an absolute minimum. And of those 71 businesses, 35 of those we're looking to work on research projects. Next slide, please. So again, some of this has been covered off a little bit earlier on, and there's certain types of businesses that we are looking to engage with. There's businesses that are established within the rail sector, those that are new into the sector, and there's businesses that are thinking of diversifying into the sector. I've deliberately kept this quite open, and it's been pretty open, as mentioned previously in my predecessors in their presentations. So because there's so much expertise and knowledge in-house that we could support varying businesses at different stages of their life cycle. Next slide, please. So there's a few things we have to consider from an ERDF perspective in terms of eligibility. I'm happy for this slide to be circulated, so I won't go through all of this, but there's just a few things to consider. However, it's also worth mentioning, if the business is appropriate in the rail sector looking for support, and they're outside of the region, or they don't fit the criteria completely, do still refer them on to us, because we may be able to refer them on to our delivery partners. We may be able to refer them on to other projects with the university. So it's just something to bear in mind. Thank you. Next slide, please. And then we have a generic email address that's been set up for the project. So if you have any questions or queries, feel free to send us an email or just Google DigiRail, and there's quite a lot of information on our webpage. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sidra. We're starting to get a few questions coming in, which is great to see. Please do keep them coming. We have just one more presentation just to close off our series of presentations this afternoon, just before we do jump into that Q&A. So I would now like to introduce you to Kartik Thangaraj, the Senior Technical Officer.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kartik Thangaraj. I'm one of the Senior Research Fellows in Birmingham Centre for Railway Research. I specialize in the development of sensors, and especially for the condition monitoring. And I would like to take you some of the case studies that we currently worked on the DigiRail West Midlands project. Next slide, please. This is one of the first projects that we worked on this project. It's on the trolley. The company called RSS Infrastructure works in the railway sector and with a range of services for supplying contingent laborers. The trolley is been approved by the Network Railway and it's commercially available in the market as well. But then there are serious issues or damages that these trolleys could cause. For example, they could run away, they're overloaded, or pushing them on the track causes injuries to the laborers, and it can maximum weigh about 1 ton weight. The runaway trolleys can reach up to 25 to 30 miles per hour. So if they go hit some infrastructure or people, it still causes damage. So the first step in the DigiRail project is when an SME approaches us, we, with a set of technical officers, along with my colleagues, visit the company and understand the company needs, what they want. In this case, we understood the necessity of the project, and then we proposed them having a motorized trolley, which eases the pressure of labor of pushing those tons. They made a brief calculations on battery and power consumption, and then the motorized trolleys, and we added up few extra innovative bits. I wouldn't say innovative bits, but assisting help bits. For example, a load cell which says the total amount of weight, and then we added some lightning, and then remote control to move the trolley in both the way, just to aid the helpers who are working on the project. The next slide, please. So this is a sensor rail case study project. It's another prime example of how we delivered a project in DigiRail. The sensor rail is an SME that approached us with an acoustic sensor that he'd like to access the damage of products in tracks. So we have lab facilities as a part of DigiRail, which could be used here. So we have a wheel room, which kind of mimics the track. So we attached this acoustic sensor into the wheel track room that you see, and then we made a couple of tests for him. So we took his data and he trained this algorithm. And then we went to a QRTC site, which Sidra just mentioned that you can hire a train. So we visited the QRTC, then we hired a train for him, and then we done a similar test over there. And this project was one of a really good project we worked in, and we invited the HS2 people to demonstrate on the event. And then the company is currently working with HS2 to develop the product to the next scale. Next slide, please. So this is another example project that we worked on, the DigiRail project. So this is something called a rider company, which has a proximity sensor-based health monitoring systems. The hazard intelligence system that improves the health and safety on a working environment. And this company is again now working with HS2, and then they're demonstrating the product in the HS2 connection site. It has a sensor which is attached to the helmet that can monitor the movement of the people around the area on the construction working site. And you could use the geofencing technology to make sure that the people are not crossing those hazardous area. This product was also used during the COVID situation to monitor the safe distance in the working area. So this is the third example that we would like to show you now. And these are, so the next step on this project is to take them to QRTC, do a live testing there as well. So those are the benefits that you get working on this project. I'm happy to take more questions as it comes in, but that's it from me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Kartik, and thank you to all of our speakers so far. We're going to come back to Clive now, and we've got quite a few questions coming in. So Clive, I'm going to spotlight you now, but please feel free to invite anyone else in who you think would be great to answer this. So we've had the first one, which is actually, I'm going to bring Sidra in because this one's actually for you also. Sidra, we've had a question here. Will any University of Birmingham staff be based in SCR, and how do they hope to engage with the wider region, such as businesses and support organisations?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So when the new Ukraine building that Paul has mentioned earlier on is open, which we're anticipating in the next few months, myself and our business engagement manager for the project, Leon, and Paul, and of course the Unipart staff will be located there as well. I think it's absolutely critical that we have a presence in the location. And it's a collaborative project. This isn't Unipart being based in Doncaster and University of Birmingham staff being based in Birmingham. I think to get the most out of the project, it's going to be critical that we have a strong sense of visibility. And also, when it comes to workshop delivery, at the moment, we're looking at delivering our workshops online. That's reacting to the current situation in terms of COVID, though I appreciate technically we're open now. I think the social comfort of people doesn't mean that people want to meet face to face yet, but I'm anticipating and planning that we're going to be delivering some workshops and engagement events in Sheffield, very much so.
Thank you, Sidra. Another question here is, what lessons have you learned from the West Midlands DigiRail programme that could probably help the SCR programme move quicker?
Shall I pick up the start of that? So we've been running the West Midlands programmes for 18 months or so now, and they are progressing well. I think one of the things we've done in designing the Sheffield City Region programme is reflect on some of those lessons learnt through the process we've done. So by bringing in the delivery partner, in this case Unipart, i.e. someone much closer to the day-to-day, you know, having a need themselves of products and services, but also closer to delivering and, as was explained through the examples, going through procurement routes and legal routes and those sorts of things with the rail industry, really brings another dimension to the project that we don't actually have in the West Midlands region. So we have almost this perfect triangle of the SMEs with innovation and capability that they want to bring, and the enthusiasm to bring those to the market. The university to be able to fill in any innovation gaps, take forward particular digital technologies, enhance things maybe in terms of robustness or in terms of processing capability, those sorts of things. And then Unipart being able to do that TRL, that technology readiness level rising of how to bring products very much into market, but also how to position them, price them, manufacture them in the right way, put servicing around them, get the value proposition right, all of those things. So between those three parties, we have a really strong story and strong support that can be provided.
I think just to add on what Clive's point and your question that you posed, Sheridan, I think it's also worth just noting that between ourselves in the Sheffield region and the projects in the West Midlands region, and we have another project actually in the Derby region, we meet quite regularly to understand what's going well in each project, what's not going well, picking up best practice, trying to avoid any mistakes or errors that any of the projects have made. And also we're thinking about ways to work together. So we're actually working currently with the West Midlands team to develop a stream of workshops that will hopefully be as fit for purpose as they can be, based on feedback that we're providing, based on feedback from businesses that they're engaging with, based on feedback from our colleagues at Unipart. So we're very keen on making this a very impactful and fruitful project. And it's not just a tick box exercise. We genuinely want to demonstrate some sort of change and want businesses to get as much value as possible out of this.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got a question here for Unipart. How high on the agenda is decarbonisation and sustainability in the rail sector when developing products and services?
Would you like me to come in on that, sir?
Sure.
Okay, so yeah, I'll pick up on that. I mean, just to say, it is extremely high. It's clearly, you know, a key agenda of the rail technical strategy around decarbonisation. You know, Network Rail are, you know, increasingly looking for that. It's being built into what they're looking for and driving forward in innovation. And also, I can say that, you know, sort of one of the things I'm involved in is the rail supply group, and I lead on the export pillar for that. So that does give me exposure to sort of various interfaces into governments in terms of DFT and also BASE and DIT. And I can tell you that all of those departments are driving very hard and looking for what we are doing within the rail industry on decarbonisation. And I'm sure Clive might have some additional things to say around how important decarbonisation is in the industry.
Yes, thanks, Jake. And there are some things obviously going on in the industry, and rail starts in a good position compared with many other transport sectors, but there is still a huge amount to be done. There's work obviously going on powertrains and those sorts of things, but actually better use of digital technology, work around embedded carbon, and actually one other issue is just movements of goods around. So local supply chain, local manufacture, those sorts of things all play into this agenda. And as Jake says, internationally, there is quite a lot of persistence on buying low carbon products, particularly in some of the developing countries where people are borrowing money to buy products. Some of the constraints of borrowing that money is that they are buying low carbon products. So at the university, we're doing quite a lot of work in Africa at the moment to try and enable products to come to market that can be bought with, for example, World Bank money and things. So there's a good push here, and yeah, we're in the right space doing the right thing, I think.
Fantastic, brilliant. Thank you very much, both Jake and Clive there. I'm going to bring Paul into the fold here as well. I've got a couple of questions for you, Paul. We've got, first of all, is how many SMEs have actually expressed an interest so far, and what is the procedure for engaging during COVID? And as a sideline question to that is, what specific resources are available to these SMEs?
Okay, thank you. I'll take this one. My colleague Leon is on the call, but we'll spare him if he has to, because congratulations to Leon and his partner, who we recently welcomed a new addition. So I'll take this for you, buddy. We've had a fantastic start, given the fact we're in the middle of a pandemic and it's quite a challenge for a lot of SMEs, never mind companies that work in rail. I'd like to thank the support we've had from our university partners in the region specifically, and those leading within the digital framework who have put us in contact with the right people. So far, I think we've had 11 or 12 expressions of interest, a couple of in addition outside of the region that, as Sidra quite rightly mentioned, we won't just say no, we'll try and point people in the right direction, even if we can't necessarily help them through DigiRail. But we need to remind ourselves that Unipart Rail are interested in new innovation and products and services. So if you do happen to not quite fall within DigiRail, we may still be able to help you through other means. And I think that's one thing Andy mentioned earlier, Innovate UK funding, KTN, whoever it might be, we can look for those opportunities. Within those 11 or 12, and we've probably got 4 or 5 SMEs who we're currently engaging with on a weekly basis, trying to get some products or services or research in traction with them. So, thank you to those for engaging with us. And in terms of what's available to them, well, we do benefit from a lot of the great experience from the West Midlands. So they get into rail workshops, which are quite mature. We can offer those so they can take place through Zoom or remotely through Teams. We don't need to wait for the centre to be open. And of course, the University of Birmingham are operating out of their fantastic facility that they've just opened in Birmingham with Ukraine right now. We're trying to do the same in Doncaster. So we think through this programme, you probably get an unrivaled access to some of the best institutions, the best academics, the best product managers, the best, of the rail industry through Unipart. So we would hope that this is, a big pull. We'd like to thank those for engaging with us so far. But remember, that's only 5 of 71. We've got a long way to go. So I don't want anyone to think that we can relax. We really want to tap into your networks, and we really want to find some great talents, some fantastic SMEs. I've been inspired by some of the people I've met. They're working on technologies I didn't even realize existed. That is great for us. It keeps us fresh. It keeps us inspired. So keep it coming. That's all I'd say.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Paul. We've got another question here that's come in. Are there any potential facilities, equipment at Ukraine Centre that can be used to support SME projects? And how can the use of these facilities support the SMEs, for example, at DigiRail SCR?
Clive, I might let you lead on the Ukraine question first.
Okay, so in terms of the Doncaster base for Ukraine, the focus there is to bring products to market and demonstrate and showcase those innovations so that it becomes a place where the rail industry can come and work on innovation, think about innovation, and as I say, showcase and bring forward that work. And at the centre, there will be a strong presence, as we've discussed, from the DigiRail project and the University of Birmingham team, and actually 2 of the technical officers on the project will be based there as well as Sidra and Leon. But then also presence from other universities and also Network Rail, so that it acts as a hub where people can come together and have those discussions. Then within the broader Unipart part of this, then there's opportunities to link in with Unipart's facilities, and perhaps Paul will pick up on a bit on that.
Yes, thank you, Clive. I mean, I think it's worth mentioning that this facility is going to be very dynamic. It's going to have not some fantastic case studies from the Ukraine academics, because looking for commercialization opportunities, but there's going to be the Unipart Rail Innovation Showcase, the opportunities for SMEs to promote their products and services, and of course through our potential global supply chain. Right now, not many people are flying because of the issues. So, you know, you could perhaps connect into some of our customers using our, you know, remote live streaming back into some of our group as well, who obviously specialize in technology and logistics and manufacturing. So you get access to a lot more than just the DigiRail team. And I think it's really important that, you know, and I think Karen mentioned this very clearly, Unipart Group are a very, very high performing, innovative company, and we have access to some of their digital champions within our network. And we will always seek opportunities with our SMEs to try and push to do more, to achieve greater things and to do more innovation, because if that's good for the industry, you know, we want to transfer rail innovation out to other sectors, but we're also quite happy to adopt and scale innovations from other areas into rail. So that's why I think it's really important. If anyone's got any queries, they come and see us. They drop in November, December when we're open, and we get the kettle on and we have a chat about what we can do together, because we're looking for partners.
Sheridan, sorry, could I just add a couple of things? I think a couple of things that SMEs will have access to within our facility is we've got all of our functional experts, whether that's procurement, legal, marketing, finance. So particularly for startups, if they're struggling with certain, you know, they've not got access to everything, we can not only help them on the sort of the innovation and the development side, but we can actually help them in terms of how you'd market the material, legal requirements, contractual things, anything like that. So it's not just limited to what's in the centre. They've got that can draw down on any of the resources around Unipart Rail as well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Karen, and Paul also. Karen, if you can stay where you are, because this may also apply to you. This is for a question for the project team in general. And this is our last question before we wrap up. But is there a cap on the amount of support time that an SME can receive through this project?
Do you want me to pick that up? So the programme is governed under state aid rules. Some of you may know, who are experts on state aid, that some of these processes are changing at the moment post Brexit. So there is some constraints around how much support people can get, and it's dependent on what support they may have had as SMEs prior to that. So it's a fairly complicated process to give a definitive answer to. However, when we first engage with SMEs, we go through that sort of assessment, and therefore we can make sure that people haven't maxed out in terms of the support that they can get. And then we can put together a package of support that's within line with what's needed. It's probably worth saying, I think, from our experience of West Midlands, I may be wrong, but I don't think we've actually ever had anyone who hasn't been able to get the support they need through this. But there is a checking process which is in line with state aid around this.
Fantastic, thank you. I said that was going to be the last one before we wrapped up, but we have just had one more sneak in actually, which is actually a question for Dave. So Dr. Dave Smith, I'm going to bring you back into the spotlight here as well. So the question for you is, what plans does the LEP Combined Authority have to maximise the potential for this programme to create new businesses and build the digital supply chain? Oh, Dave,
yeah, I'm just getting off mute. We have a number of plans. We've just completed a whole process jointly with some private sector partners, going through the MIT Massachusetts Institute of Technology's programme around innovation-driven SMEs to understand how programs have been used across the world to help SMEs deliver on their desire, impetus for innovation. We're committed to seeing this as part of our innovation-led growth strategy, which of course covers a wide range of business types and scales. But with respect to SMEs, we want to put a particular focus. So at the moment, we're doing several things. Firstly, we are leading not just for our own region, but across Yorkshire and Humber, the extension of the government's pilot project on smart technologies in manufacturing called Made Smarter. For those of you who might know, a large project was led in the Northwest, and that's now been extended into the Yorkshire region. And as I say, we're leading on that. We're really keen that in the rail industry to learn the lessons of this particular work, to see how we might extend this further, both in terms of rail technologies, but indeed in terms of other related manufacturing, so that we can learn constantly around how to deploy resources and invest in that interface between academia and business in a way that promotes and drives innovation, particularly amongst SMEs who may not on their own have the be able to avail themselves of those opportunities. So a lot for us to learn from this particular project, but we're sitting this alongside a range of other projects that we're implementing to support innovation in the SME sector.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dave, and thank you also to Clive. That does conclude our questions for this afternoon. So thank you to everyone who has submitted a question, and thank you once again to all of our speakers. So Clive, over to you for your closing words.
Thank you, Sheridan. And so my job is to say thank you for all of you for attending today. Hopefully you are now fully informed and infused about the programme that we're able to offer in the region. Please do get in touch with us if we can help you or parts of your network. As we've said, we're really keen to do that, embed and get those outputs and make sure that we really make impact in the region in an appropriate way. So please, we need your support to do that. So please keep in touch. Can I thank Sheridan for looking after us today, and all of the speakers, particularly Dave coming from the LEP to talk to us. It's really infusing to get that messaging that, you know, our programme is seen as having a real impact in the region. That's what we believe, and I'm sure working together we can make all of these outputs turn into business successes, job growth, and exports and trading successes for the region. Our previous experience says that's what we will be able to do. So we're really keen to deliver that over the next couple of years in the area. So hopefully we will see you all around face to face over the coming months. Please get in touch, and thank you again. Thank you, everyone.